Hey, Steve.
Hey Rob, how you doing?
How you been?
Okay, enjoying the summer. Glad we got a little break from the heat. That's a
That's for
relief.
sure. Hey, Eileen.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
How you feeling?
The email from Amy, Eileen.
No, I didn't. She was signed on and then she signed right back off again.
Yeah, she said her train was delayed, so she's probably like walking, and she may have some connectivity issues. So
Okay. All righty. Feeling, okay.
You look good.
were you
Always
sick?
What's that?
Were you sick?
I am sick.
COVID?
I am sick with COVID, yeah.
First time?
Yeah.
Uh,
Believe it or not, I got it from my 85-year-old grandmother, my 85-year-old mother. I'm just trying to figure out where the hell she got it from. She doesn't go anywhere. So she gave it to me, and she gave me and my other sister, we provide most of the care for her. She got sick Thursday. I got sick Saturday. My sister got sick yesterday.
Ugh.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just weird. And then I didn't know I was sick, so I had one of my grandsons all night Thursday night playing in the pool and everything. And he woke up with a fever today. I'm like, he's got it. And so he's got it. It's just crazy. It's weird because I was with so many people like that have had it and been so close to them and never got it. I wasn't even close to my mother, and I don't know how I caught it from her because we don't get that, like, we're not that close in proximity. It's just crazy.
Right.
And this one is much more contagious, but much milder. Like, I never got sick or anything, but
Wow.
gotta
Hi.
do.
Oh, Eileen, I'm sorry. I just heard all of that. That's
Yeah. It's so I'm homebound till Friday. But
Rob, we have no minutes this week
yeah, I circulated 2 sets.
of minutes.
Yeah.
I searched and searched. I don't know how I missed that.
Let me see. Yeah, I think I sent them towards the end of last week, maybe.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, I see Amy walking.
Not even walking yet. I'm still on the train.
Oh, geez. So
Yeah.
Amy.
Hey, I'm pulling into Millburn in like 2 minutes, I think.
yeah, I didn't hear from I didn't hear any other no's except for Craig,
Ashley.
Ashley, and Jody.
All right. So Joe and Chandra will be here.
Yeah, I didn't hear from them, so I'm hoping they will. And I think we have 2 that are Ds. So
Hey, Jessica, I just forwarded you the minutes.
Here are the minutes. I don't know how I missed that. Yeah, let me just take a quick look before while we're waiting for them anyway.
Hey, Eileen, which applications are FARs?
the first one, McCarthy on River Lane, is an FAR.
Yeah.
And the other one is the 19 Bonwell is an FAR, but that's the one that we may have an issue
Yeah.
with the notice.
Yeah. Okay.
I think those are the only 2 G. Yeah, those are the only 2.
There seemed to be one where the elevations didn't look right.
The elevations.
I guess we'll get to it.
Elevations meaning the height of the building?
Yeah, the rear elevation, the drawing didn't match the actual building.
Oh, do you remember which one?
Yeah, it's
It's a Bodwell.
the one near the chai application.
Yeah, the Bodwell.
Bodwell, yeah.
Yeah, that one was, I was a little confused when I was back there looking
Yeah.
at the property. I thought it was mid.
Well, I think we have some potential notice issues with that anyway, so.
Yeah.
Okay. It's up there.
Yeah.
So right now we have 4.
Yeah. Here's Chandra. Hold on.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Chandra.
Sandra.
Here's Joe. And that is, I think that's everyone. We're not getting anybody else. That's all we're getting today.
All right, let's get
All right.
going then.
Right.
Yep, let's get
At
started.
the 18.
Okay. In accordance with section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall, mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would be taking place on Monday, August 15th at 7 p.m. via Zoom webinar. Amy Lawrence,
I'm here.
Joseph Steinberg, he's muted.
Joe, you're muted.
Joe.
Okay, let me, in the meantime, Steve Toger,
Here.
Wolfgang Tutores,
Here.
Chandru Harjani,
Here,
Vice Chairwoman Jessica Glatt,
Here.
who will be the chair tonight.
Yep.
And as soon as Joe.
Joe, also, if you're able to turn your camera so we could see you a little better, that would be great. Is it okay to get started with the minutes?
It is. Yeah, let's
Okay.
move on.
Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so I guess we have the two sets of minutes, the meeting of Monday, July 18th.
Yes.
Okay. Who's eligible to vote on that?
Amy, Joe, Steve, Wolfgang, Chandru, Jessica. That's it.
Okay. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes from July 18th?
There was just one typographical error. I think in line 31, I misspelled Wolfgang's last name, so I did correct that.
Okay. Great. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt those minutes?
Move approval of the minutes from July 18th, 2022.
Do you have a second? Steve, is that you?
Second,
Second by Steve.
All in
All
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and the next set of minutes are for the meeting of August 1st. Any corrections or changes? None. Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
are we all eligible?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who's not eligible? Who's eligible? Amy, Jody, Steve, Wolfgang, Chandru, Ashley, Jessica, Craig. I don't think.
Yeah, I
Jo-
move approval of minutes from Aug 1, 22.
Second,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, those are approved. Okay, so let's move on to the memorializations.
Hey, let's just first, hey, Joe, are you able to hear us? Can you unmute yourself? All right, let's move on with memorializations for
Okay.
now, and then we'll come back.
Okay, and then we'll come back to Joe. Okay, so the first one I have is calendar 3862-22 T-Mobile Northeast. Who is eligible to vote on this one?
Eligible is Amy, Joe, Steve, Wolfgang, Chandru, Jessica, Craig.
Okay, do we have any corrections or changes?
Sorry, Jessica, 3862 is 33 Keene Road.
It's actually, I think that was a misprint. I thought it was
Okay.
just a misprint on the agenda that we were given, but it's actually 3862 is T-Mobile.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. So if there are no corrections or changes, do I have a motion to adopt?
I'll motion to that.
Okay, Amy, do we have a second?
Second,
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Chandru Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt,
Yes.
and Joe is still muted, so I will not. Oh,
Oh, wait,
You
Joe,
weren't muted.
we had you for a second. Joe, do you want to unmute yourself to approve?
yeah, you just had yourself unmuted, and then you muted yourself again.
Okay, is it okay to move on to the?
It is.
Okay, so the next one is calendar 3874-22, Alex and Indra Kissel, 52 Walnut Avenue. Who is eligible on this one, please?
Eligible on this is Joe Steinberg, Steve Toger, Chandru, Jessica, Craig.
Okay, do we have any corrections or changes? Do we have a motion to adopt?
I move approval of calendar 3874-22.
Do we have a second? Anyone?
I can second.
Okay, Chandru,
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Chandru Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt.
yes. That's it, okay. Moving on, we have calendar 3875-22, Stefan and Shelley Herman, 55 Whitney Road, Short Hills. Who is eligible on this?
Eligible are Amy, Joe, Steve, Wolfgang, Chandru, Jessica, Craig.
Okay, do we have any corrections or changes or additions? Don't see any. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
Amy, second.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Joe Steinberg, no, yeah. Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Sean Drew Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes. Okay, the last one is calendar 3879-22. That's Dish Wireless LLC, 30 Bleecker Street, Millburn. Who is eligible on this?
Amy, Joe, Steve, Wolfgang, Sean Drew, Jessica, Craig.
Great. Any additions, corrections, changes? Don't see any. Do we have a motion to adopt?
I move approval of the memorialization for 3879-22.
Second.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Sean Drew Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes. Okay. I'd love to get Joe on because the next application, we have an
Yeah.
FAR.
I'm just looking, I don't see their architect and I don't see
Oh, okay.
their, I don't see any of them because this is, I believe, Chris Maseo. I don't see her there
Huh.
and I don't see the McCarthys there. So I don't know.
Did they submit any revised plans since the last hearing?
No.
Hmm.
I did not.
Well,
read.
then, yeah, I was actually, I was wondering that as well. Because I watched both of the tapes, so I was eligible. I didn't know if they were gonna present something tonight. I don't see them in the audience either. Should we move on to the
Yeah, I
second
mean-
Yeah,
They
application and
show up.
what we'll do is that we'll move on to the second application. And then Eileen, if after the second application, you can remind us, let's come back to that one and see if anybody appears.
Yeah, I'll keep. a look.
Otherwise, we might have to just carry it.
Yeah. I'm sure we carried it to tonight because the next meeting is the Kai Center and we didn't want to.
yeah, I
If we
mean,
make it to the August 1st meeting.
rewatched this weekend, watched the tapes and it was definitely carried to today. They said that they couldn't get the new plan
First,
in place by the
first,
first, so they took this meeting instead. So I'm surprised that they're not here, but okay.
Okay.
Moving right along, we have calendar 3878. That's 19 Bodwell Terrace, Paul De Leon. This was the application. You said there might be an issue with notice.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's first,
Swear them in.
let's first see who we have here before we talk about anything.
Yeah, no, that's it. They should see you. There you go. You see, you gotta be close to your screen. That's
Okay,
it.
there's
Oh,
Joe.
great. Now we've got Joe. Okay, good.
Oh,
No, we lost him.
spoke too soon. He's on mute. Okay, well, let's get started with this. So, Mr. Leon, you're the applicant?
Yes.
Is there anyone else appearing on your behalf this evening?
Well, I have my wife with me,
Right,
who is
hello.
also attorney.
Okay, so before we get started, Eileen brought to my attention this afternoon a potential issue with the notice. So as
Okay.
you know, notice is jurisdictional and we can't hold a hearing if the notice is defective as a matter of law. So I looked at the notice and you have a couple of problems with the notice. First and foremost, this is apparently a variance that in part is asking for a variance for floor area ratio, which is a form of a use variance, which requires 5 affirmative votes. Your notice doesn't specifically mention the fact that it's a floor area ratio variance. Further, there's an issue in that the notice doesn't actually reflect the specific variances that you're seeking. It references a bunch of sections of the zoning ordinance, but it doesn't talk about what the variances are that you're seeking. In other words, what the requirement is in the ordinance, what the existing condition is, and what the deviation is. And under the statute, under the municipal land use law, one of the things you absolutely have to provide is notice of the relief that you are seeking. So the problem that the board faces is that because the notice, I believe, and unless the board disagrees with me, is technically defective, I think it does preclude the board from having jurisdiction over this application, and we'd have to reschedule it for another date. Now, that being said, certainly, as in all cases, when notices turn out to be defective for one reason or another, I'm more than happy to review a revised notice once you have an opportunity to revise it to make sure that all the municipal land use law requirements are met, and that, as in any notice, it's supposed to provide what the variance is that you're seeking, what the current, what the existing condition is, what the requirement is, and what the deviation is for which you're seeking relief. And here, in this case, because you have a form of a use variance, it's all the more important to include all of the relief that is required for the application. So I don't know if anyone, Jessica or anyone else have any comments on that.
And I defer to you, Rob. So I think the whole board would agree if you're saying that the notice is deficient, then.
Yeah, there are a number, with all due respect, there are a number of issues that have to be corrected.
The notice that was submitted with their application clearly shows bulk and use variance relief required and lists all the sections, what they are, what's required and what's proposed, but that's not, the notice that was put in the newspaper was completely different than this. It wasn't this notice,
Okay.
so.
Okay. I mean, whatever you guys say.
You know, the other issue, Mr. and Mrs. De Leon, just for your edification, is that because this is an FAR variance that you're seeking, you need 5 affirmative votes. It's not just a majority. And because you need 5 affirmative votes, typically it's advisable to have at least 7 board members voting so that you can, you know, have the full complement of the board in the hopes of getting 5 affirmative votes. And we only have 6 board members this evening. So it's frankly another reason, even if your notice was not defective, why you may, just like any use variance applicant, may seek to carry it anyway. But there are issues that we'd be happy to work with you to help you fix.
Okay, so if we redraft it, we could send it to you to take a ahead of time?
Yeah, we'll send it to you to take a look at before we get it out there.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
There was a mention of rear elevation. I mean, is that something that someone can comment on? So we're not doing this
That it wasn't correct?
100 times?
I apologize. That was me, and it was a different application.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay.
If you hang around, you'll find out which one.
Is it okay if we don't?
Yeah.
Eileen, once we redraft it, do I just bring it down to the town and you take a look at it, or what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, I'll be happy to take a look at it. Now this, I'm guessing, Rob, this can't be carried. It has to be renoticed.
That's correct.
All right, so we'll have to decide on a date and.
Okay,
Okay.
so just put it back in the newspaper once it's approved and, okay,
Yeah, once we get a date certain, we'll move on.
okay. When are you back?
And does it, we need to send it again to the 30 people on that list?
Well, if the notice, I don't know what you sent them.
Okay.
So if you sent them the same notice that was in the newspaper, I would say, yes, you have to. Well, first of all, you're gonna have to renotice them because we can't carry that application, so they have to be notified of the new date. So yeah.
Understood.
And then finally, one other comment, especially because you're having an FAR variance, you might think about having at least one professional provide some testimony on your behalf. for the variances that are required.
Understood. Okay,
Okay,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
I
Okay, so
still do not see anybody for 6 River Lane.
All right, so
Mm,
Jessica, you want to carry that?
yeah, I mean, unless you want to wait for one, go through one more application, otherwise.
Even
I'm
at the
not
very
carrying-
end, yeah.
you
You
know.
know, wait till the end. I would imagine if they're not here by now, they're not. gonna
Yeah,
come.
I mean, the problem with waiting is that if there's members of the public that are interested in the application,
Yeah.
and they too are waiting, so.
Okay, so then let's carry that application.
Here's the situation right now. Our next meeting is in September. We have only one meeting. We have the Kai Center on that meeting, and there are I believe two residential applications that I really had to put on. That's the only meeting we have, so it would probably not be till October, the first meeting of October.
Okay.
I don't know that we want to start making that agenda heavy, considering what we have on.
I'm fine with that. I mean, if they're not here to, for tonight, then
Okay.
and if that's where we can fit them in, that's where we can fit them in. So we're gonna say that's a meeting of October.
What is the first Monday of October? I don't have that information with me. I have my log.
Would that be October 3rd? Does that sound right?
Yeah, because Columbus Day, yes, you're right, October 3rd, yes.
Funny, do we definitely have a meeting on October 3rd?
I have it listed for that night.
You do? Okay.
I
Yeah,
do.
for some reason it wasn't on my calendar. Okay, because I have it for the 17th. Okay, so October, so how do we formally carry this?
Just
So,
announce the-
so the application of Thomas and Ann McCarthy, 6 River Lane, Millburn, New Jersey, block 507, lot 66, that originally was carried from July 18th to today's date, August 15th, is again being carried. Again, it's being carried to October 3rd, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. Via Zoom webinar. There'll be no further notice to the members of the public. This is your notice for the carry until October of that application. It's calendar 387222. McCarthy until Monday, October 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. via Zoom webinar.
Thank you.
Eileen, I'm assuming, maybe I'm being presumptuous, that we will still be via Zoom then?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. All right, then we are going to move on to calendar 3880. This is Imrana Chowdhury, 17 Haddonfield Road in Short Hills. We could bring, I see her in the audience. Is it working now? No.
Miss Chowdhury, do you have another computer active in the same room as yours? Because that usually is the cause for what we're hearing.
Okay, here comes Mr.
No, I have. So can you give access to Maria?
One of the computers has to mute and lower the volume if you're sitting near each other.
You have access now?
Done. We are lowered and off.
You can bring your sound up now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So my name is Imrana, and I'm here with.
Hold on.
Wait,
hold
wait, hang on one
hold
second. Is Maria here too? Maria de Cosimo?
Yes.
Yeah, she's here.
Can you get on, can you get your camera on?
Can you turn my camera on?
Yes.
Down here.
Hey, Joe, before we start, I'm sorry, Jessica. Hey, Joe, can you unmute yourself for 1 second? Joe Steinberg, can you unmute yourself?
You're muted.
Yeah.
Joe, are you able to hit the button to unmute yourself? So we'll be able to hear you?
Yes.
No, we're talking to one of our board members. Just give us 1 second. Joe, can you hear us?
So it's not a use variance. So it's just a majority vote. So I would probably recommend at this point, maybe unless Joe can come on where we can hear him, that we just proceed at this point without him.
Okay.
Joe, once you come on, then you can participate, provided that you've heard everything up to that point.
Yeah, Joe, if you're able to unmute yourself and let us know that you're unmuted and able to hear us, then you could listen to this application, but otherwise we're just going to proceed for now. Okay. Should we
Yeah,
get
Eric, why don't we swear
them in?
Looks like two witnesses.
Okay, if you would both just raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give tonight to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I mean, we need your names for the record, but however, we're still getting that background noise. So somebody, if you're sitting near each other, somebody's still gonna have to lower their volume.
Should be good now.
My name is Maria de Cosimo. I'm a registered architect from Westfield, New Jersey. No, it's okay.
Okay. Are we qualifying? Miss
I just want to
right
have
now?
them both sworn, and then let's see what they have to say, and then we'll
Okay.
decide that.
Okay.
Ms. Chowdhury, if you would just state your name for the record.
Raise your right hand and say your name.
Hi, this is Imrana.
Your last name?
Imrana Chaudhry.
Thank you.
Okay. Have they both been sworn now?
Yes, they have.
So, Ms. Chowdhury, how would you like to proceed tonight? Are you gonna testify, or is just Ms. De Cosimo gonna testify?
Maria is here to present me on my behalf. She's going to.
Okay. So as the chair stated, Ms. De Cosimo, why don't you start by providing us with some credentials?
I'm a licensed New Jersey architect in the state of New Jersey. I've practiced for the past 30 years. My office is located in Westfield, 266 East Broad Street. I hold a building inspector's license and I hold a zoning official license. I've appeared before many boards. I try to minimize my appearances by working the design out the best I can.
Is your license in good standing?
Absolutely.
Have you ever testified before this board?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Your qualifications.
Actually, I'm sorry. I've appeared before Millburn, but I'm not sure that this exact board. No,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
no.
Okay. Your qualifications have been accepted.
Thank you.
Who would like to start?
Mr. Cosmo, can you hear the chair?
Yes, I can. She just,
Okay.
actually, she just went a little mute, but I'd be actually happy to walk you through the project and start you guys out myself.
Okay.
Okay. We have a residence on Haddonfield Road that is existing non-conforming. It is, its lot is undersized and its setbacks severely, penalize the home and any expansion that the homeowner would look to do. So the front yard setback, as you can see on drawing C1, front yard setback cuts severely into the home as it sits at 40 feet minimum. The minimum front yard setback is 40 feet. It cuts severely into the home, more than halfway. The minimum rear yard setback is basically at the rear of the home. The side yard setbacks are also basically at the edges of the home also. So the existing structure is existing non-conforming in many aspects. So we're seeking two variances. We're seeking front yard setback, and we're seeking the maximum building coverage. So if you look at the existing floor plan on page A1, you could see that the home, just from my memory, I could just walk you through the home from memory because it's a very-
Mr. Cosmo, are you able to share screen and show your plans electronically?
I am.
Because that may benefit the board members and also members of the public as you're walking through the plans.
Okay, great.
So when you go to share screen, you get this. Now you can see this. You can zoom out by going this. Hold the control.
How we get to
Okay.
how we get to the first sheet.
Just roll down.
Okay,
And roll in.
so here we are at an existing floor plan.
Okay, hold on a second. Can you just confirm, is everything that you're going to show us via screen share what has already been submitted to the board?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask you as you walk through the plans for the board and the public that you identify what sheet you're referring to as you speak to each of the items on the plan.
Okay. The first sheet we're reviewing right now is A1. A1. And A1 is a first floor plan, existing first floor plan. And if you look closely, you could see a red dashed line. This red dashed line represents the setbacks, and within this parameter here is actually the permitted building area. So you can see that this existing home is, as it exists right now, is existing non-conforming. By, not by a little, but by a lot. And as the floor plan exists right now, I'm not going to walk you through every room, but as a whole, it is the house itself is from out to out is basically, including the garage, 50 by 26. So you could, just by those dimensions, this is a small home. And within this small home, these spaces are broken down room upon room. So we're talking about very small rooms. We have a very tiny entry. You can see just by the nature of the door. You open the door takes the entire entry. You have something they call a dining room to the right, a living room to the left, a very small kitchen in the rear, laundry in the back, a family room all the way to the left. It's really not adequate size rooms or living conditions for today's lifestyle, or really for the location where this home is. So the nature of the renovation is basically to open this home up so that at least the spatial quality of the home is such that the rooms are shared, and they're a little bit more breathable, and the floor plan has a better lifestyle to it. In doing so, we do an addition to the left, and that's where one of our variances do come in. But I'd like to walk you first through the second floor plan, which is now, I'm scrolling down. As I scroll down on the bottom of A1, you can see those are just models of the home. And you can see that this is just a simple cape. And you could tell that, it's been added onto, it's been dormered. And you can tell just by the inconsistency of its massing. On the second floor, we have 3 bedrooms. The third bedroom is very, very tiny. It's more like a glorified closet and a very, very small bathroom. And that's A2. A3 are just elevations, existing elevations with some pictures. And now as we get to A4, this is a proposed new floor plan. And as you could see, anything hatched, which is almost all the walls. I've actually taken this home and rearranged most of the interior to open up the spaces to make them more livable. The area to the left, I've taken the existing, what was called family room, and created a master suite or bedroom with bathroom, so that the homeowner can age in place. And that is really the thrust and the nature of this project. The owner has purchased this home, loves the area, loves the location, doesn't mind the size, especially, since this renovation has opened it up, and she can freely move around, as long as she's able to, stay on the one floor and not, can age in place here. So this is really what we're requesting, is to be able to expand that family room to the left and create a bedroom, so that we can stay on one floor. What I've done here, if you notice, I've used the setback line. If you can just look at the red dashed line again, I've stepped the work or the addition, I've stepped it the best I can to stay within the framework of the left side yard setback, so that I'm only violating, once again, the front yard setback, which I can't do anything without violating that, because basically the whole house is in violation of the front yard setback.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second in terms of the side yard setback? Are you
Yes.
saying, so the proposed side yard setback is 18.36 feet, correct? That's what the application says.
Hold on.
It's the front, that's where it sits in the front. It's 10.
No, it's 10, sir. That dimension line is just indicates how far it sits from the arc in the front yard.
Okay. Okay. Go on.
Okay, so the actual dimension, the actual side yard setback is 10 feet. And you could see, if you're looking at the screen, the little hand is on the red dashed line.
So 9.72.
Right.
Building's off.
The side yard setback, as indicated on the plot plan, is 9.72, but we have it set at 10 feet. So you can see it just misses the setback line right there. It doesn't touch it. It just, there's a breadth there. There's a degree of separation. So the design takes into consideration and respects the side yard setback line. I try to, work best with whatever I can with the property and the site. And I've stepped the design back. But once again, I do impede on the front yard setback, because the front yard setback is here, this line here, which is set right into the building itself. The whole house is in violation of the front yard setback. So by adding this bedroom to the left of the home, or increasing this family room and making it into a first floor bedroom sleeping area, I have increased the front yard setback over to the left of the home.
So just for clarification, the existing front yard setback is 24.5 feet, and what's proposed is 18.36 feet?
No, the existing front yard setback is 40 feet.
No. But right now, that's what's required.
Right now,
40 feet is required.
Yes,
What's
sir,
the-
24.
What is the current, so according to the application, the existing front yard setback is 24.5 feet, and what is proposed is 18.36 feet. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Can you just identify for the board and the public where that deviation is on the plan so they can see it?
C1. Would you like me to go back there? I could go back and show it on the screen.
I just think it's good if you show the board and the public where the deviation lies on your
Sure.
plan.
Can I make this bigger? I can't. Can I make that bigger?
Yeah, hold down control, scroll up or down, it makes it smaller than,
Can I move it over?
yeah, hit the left button.
This one?
No, the thing.
I have a question. You said it's 18.36 on our attachment E. It's saying 28.36. That's a typo. It's supposed to be 18.36 for proposed for front yard setback.
This one here. No, this is existing. I'm sorry. The addition is not on there. That's why it says 24. Hold on.
No,
Yeah,
I know, but for the proposed, it says in one place it says
Here.
18.36 and in another it says 28.36.
Where do you see?
That must be a typo. Where is that
So
say?
it must be
Where
a
does it
typo,
say
right?
that?
On attachment E,
Attachment D?
E is
E.
in, yeah.
That must be in the application.
Is that in the
Yeah,
application?
yeah, in the application, it says 28.36.
That's a typo.
It's
So
a
that's
typo.
proposed, so it should be 18.36.
Yes.
and so then also the extent of the variance, instead of being 11.64, would be 21.64.
Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, and also on the same attachment, attachment E. For the front yard setback, it says the extent of the variance being sought, what's printed is 11.64 feet, which would, go along with the 28.36, but if it's 18.36 for the proposed, then the extent of the variance would be 21.64, correct?
I would assume so.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify, that's all, thank you.
So besides the front yard setback that we just went over, you also are asking for a building coverage variance, correct?
Yes.
And that's where 23% is permitted and 24.87% is proposed.
Correct.
And then on attachment, I guess, B, what Jessica was, I think maybe, no, she was referring to a different document. It says you also need relief for front yard parking area. Can you explain
yes.
that?
Just to clarify, this yellow is what is being added. That's where the calculated number. So this white is the existing home, the yellow is the added percentage. Now, the parking, can we move?
Wait,
on?
and what's the blue? First of all, what are we looking at here? What sheet number?
C1.
Okay, and what does the blue represent?
The blue is the dormer. Because the dormer, even though it is on the existing house, you can't extend a non-conformity. So we are joining two dog houses. There's two existing doghouse dormers right now, and we are joining the dog houses.
Move it over, you'll see it. Eileen asked for it.
So why don't you talk about the variant, the relief you need for the front yard parking
Yeah,
area?
the front yard parking, and was that, Eileen, was that noticed?
there's no relief for that.
Because it's not,
That's not in the notice. It was in my denial letter, but when they submitted the application, they, first of all, it was on this, but not on the other plan. So I don't know if they decided to withdraw that from the application, but it was not, they didn't, as far as I can tell, they did not put that in their,
But how is that?
in their notice.
It passes, 30%.
yeah, because it's not anywhere else in the application.
It's less than 30%, so why is that?
It's not a violation.
Oh,
The parking is not a violation. It's just shown.
Yeah,
Well,
but what we're referring to is Ms. David, the zoning officer's attachment B, where there's a comment and there's a reference to section 607.3 front yard parking area.
30% of front yard area, and it's under 30%, so
It's under 30%, so we didn't think it was an issue. That's why it wasn't addressed.
typically the board has, we restrict all front yard coverage to 30%, and the width of the driveway is determined. Anything additional to the side of the garage area has always been, this board has always viewed that as parking area in the front yard. Am I correct, Jessica?
yeah.
Yeah. That's just the way it's, it's the secondary. If you look at 607.3A, front yard.
Well, the reason for that is a safety reason. The school sits across from this home, and the road alternates between one-way and two-way, and just backing out, this just gives it a breath of more safety when you're able to sort of cut and be able to make a turn in and out, and it's a much safer condition to have a little bit of room there.
I think the issue though, Eileen, is whether or not they need, I mean, regardless of why they're doing it, it's whether or not they need a variance to do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know coverage wise.
How do we need a variance if it's under? Why would we need a variance if it's under the 30%?
Because it's a parking area in the front yard. It's not a drive. It becomes a parking area where it's just an excess parking area where there's no garage. It's not leading to the garage, and that's just always been this board's.
Well, it's really not a parking area. There's just a car there because it's just a diagram. It's just really for more of a K or a safety thing. I mean, she doesn't have 3 cars.
All right, well, wait, hold on a second.
I mean, if that's
Let's-
the case, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, Eileen. Let's just be clear. So what we're referring to here is in 607.3E, which states that parking spaces for residential units may be located in any side or rear yard. Parking shall be permitted on a driveway in the front yard, but prohibited elsewhere in the front yard, except for temporary construction purposes. And then it goes on to state that single-family homes shall have no more than 30% of the front yard area paved or impervious surface, and shall provide a minimum of 1 parking space
In a
in a
garage.
garage for each unit. So is the applicant's position that the diagrammed car within the red crosshatched area is not intended for a parking space, but rather for maneuverability?
Correct.
Is there any way you could make that a little bit more maneuverable than parkable? I don't know how else to phrase that. Does it have to be almost double the width that you currently have?
Well,
You're
it's
getting
really,
more-
it's really about how narrow the existing driveway is, and that is on a slope. That driveway is on a slope. I mean, this is not like a real easy condition here.
Well,
And
so,
this is close to Old Short Hills Road, where all the buses are. And all the children are.
Okay, so
How wide is it? What is it? 7.6 feet wide? Is that how much you're adding?
Yes. It's not even really a car width.
So the idea is to be able to back out
Yeah.
at an angle and then exit the driveway
exit.
onto the street front going forward.
Yeah, I see what she's saying.
Instead of backing out.
Instead of
Right.
checking out.
right,
Okay. I think if I don't have the calculation. I think if we can agree that you're under the 30%, I think the 7 feet, I'd like to see it. a little
To be honest with you, that little bit actually gives my client the ability to back in the driveway. Right now, I mean, it's way too narrow, way too steep to even back in the driveway. And you know what? And now it's, beautiful weather out. How about when it's not? There's no place to put snow. There's nothing. I mean, it's really an awful condition.
How wide is your current driveway? Do you know?
I can look. Want me to go get a ruler? I have one in the car.
Looks like it's about 12 feet. That would be my guess.
Well, if that's like 8
I
feet,
have a
that's
ruler. I
about-
have a ruler right here. Excuse me. Yes, it's currently just under 12 feet.
I guess I don't understand how somebody backs out of the drive. Well, I mean, I guess that's for the questions, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just need to establish that, whether this is permissible or if this is something that, would require a variance.
So
I
you'll
think
have-
that,
it'll
I
be
think
a
the
19
if the
wide.
representation is that it's not being used as a parking space, which is, different than what's on the plan, but if they're agreeing as, as a condition or as an amendment to the plan that they're not going to be using that extra area for parking space, then I think it comes down to what, the
Not
30%?
exceeding the 30%. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But given that this is gonna travel with the land, whatever we decide. And, any future owner may well view that as a parking spot.
I mean, 19 feet, that's wide. 19 feet wide that's wide.
But-
Wide enough for,
And I'm not saying that I'm not ultimately in favor of it. It's,
right.
19 feet is the bare minimum to be able to back out into a K-turn. That's where that dimension came from.
I understand that, but majority of people back out of their driveway, they don't do K-turns,
This, I know, I'm sure you guys, I'm sure some of you, or not, if not all of you, had visited the site. That is not, I mean, school's not in session at the moment, but that is not a place that you back out of in the morning when the kids and the school buses are all there. It's just not. I went to school there. It's not, you just don't back out there. You just can't. I mean, it's just not, it's just,
Well, what's happening currently?
Well, there's no school in session.
No, but
So-
what's,
They didn't just
what-
move there, did they? Did they just?
yeah, what's been happening there with the school across the street?
Well, first of all, it's blocked, it becomes like this one way. They're all parents, or it's a drop-off circle. It's packed. The cars are bumper to bumper. There's kids everywhere. There's school buses. I mean, to back out of there just to, think that you can just be in a hurry and back out of your driveway because you're on your way to work is not gonna happen.
And why are you here on this page? You don't want that page.
Joe?
To that page.
Oh, okay, good. Now, can you hear?
No, I have to make the whole thing louder. I don't know how to do that.
Joe, if you're able to mute yourself just for now, while you get that figured out. Sir, if you could just mute him for now, just because we're.
Yeah, I muted him. I muted
I
him.
mean,
I muted.
How's that?
No,
she's,
you need to mute.
Can you hear him?
Hang on one second, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we can hear him.
Okay, but he says he doesn't hear you.
Okay, you know what, just why don't you leave Joe muted just for now? Because we're in the middle of an application and then we could try to get it sorted out.
So Rob, is this ultimately just is the main question right now? Does the board view this as being a request for a variance or not? And if so, if they've not noticed for it, then can we even hear this tonight?
Well, it wouldn't be not hearing the whole application, it would just be that, it would just be the driveway issue. My issue, Eileen, is that we need to be consistent.
Yeah.
Like I completely understand what the applicant is saying and not viewing it as a parking space, but I mean, the board has always, once the driveway has like an extra kind of outcropping, it's always been considered a parking space, even if that's not the applicant's intention.
Right.
So I just want to make sure whichever
And I
direction
did
we're going, it's
indicate it in the denial
consistent.
letter. So I did put it in my denial letter, and when I didn't see it on their application, I guess I assumed they were taking it off. I didn't have any discussion with, they didn't have any discussion with me about it, so I mean, even if, I think even if we can make it just I don't know that 19 feet is really, I don't know, it's a lot. Until we get some,
Is the applicant willing to reduce the width of that turnaround area from 7.66 feet to a lesser width?
even,
what with, can I ask a question? So what, if the percentage is under the allowed 30%, and let's just pretend that.
Wait,
they-
ma'am, the board is not here to give advisory opinions. It's your obligation, your burden of proof to present your application. An issue has been raised with regard to an alleged violation of this extra parking space in the driveway in the front yard. You're now saying it's not a parking space, which is fine. That's your sworn testimony. There's a request or an inquiry of the board, what the board's allowed to do to see if the applicant is willing to reduce that turnaround area from 7.66 feet to a lesser width. That's the question that's on the table.
Well, I designed it. So what width would you like?
Eileen?
I'd probably like to cut that in half, at least. I don't want the ability for, I will sometimes give people a little bit more, a little bit over the width of their driveway just for kind of convenience sake, but I think the minute we, this, like you said, this is gonna run with the land. That's why I noted it in the denial letter. And I think, if it had been noticed, we could have discussed this and, either ruled on it. You're saying it's a safety issue. which could have been brought to the attention of this board, or they could have ruled on the variance. That's why I noted it in the denial letter.
Okay, so you would like either us to reduce the side,
Reduce it a
bump
little
out
bit. You have that
to-
walkway that comes out that maybe you could extend it a little bit further than the walkway, so it didn't appear as this massive asphalt parking area. Like, I don't know, 4 feet, 4.5 feet, you know. I don't know that 19 feet is really in the spirit of how we've typically handled these cases.
okay, so
Would
please,
another option be if the applicant wants to keep it the way that it is, that they, I mean, up to the applicant, but that they.
We could rule on this and just come back.
We could either, or just pull it from tonight and renotice with that in there and then come back before us on a different date.
Well, if the-
or we can, or I can use the dimensions that you give me and she could try it. And if it doesn't work, then she can
Yeah.
go later and say, I've tried it at this dimension and I can't make it work. Right? We can try both.
So,
But
so,
we're willing to work.
sure. So what's the, Eileen, just so I'm clear, what's the dimension that you're proposing here?
4.5 feet.
How would it be if you look at where that car currently is, if you cut it right there, would that give you enough leeway where you'd have, I don't know, I don't have the scale here, so I don't really know what that would be. It looks like maybe, if that's 7.6, it's a little more than, taking up a little less than half of what was there. Maybe removing 3, I don't really know. It looks like maybe about 3 feet. Would that give you enough room to kind of maneuver around?
I just want a number. I didn't hear you. Did you say 4.5? In the beginning, you said 4.5 feet. So did you change that to 4 feet? I didn't really hear Eileen.
I'm good with 4.5. It looks
4.5?
like 4.5
Okay.
feet. How would that be?
So
4.5.
instead of 7.66 feet,
Same again.
the proposal is 4.5 feet
That's
of
fine.
additional macadam, and that it will not be used as a separate parking space.
That's fine.
Okay, great.
We'll try it, right? I mean,
Yep.
and then she doesn't need me. She could, if that doesn't work, she doesn't need me.
All right, why don't you continue at this point?
Okay. What's left? Okay, so I'm just going to continue walking you through the drawings. We're
Okay, I think,
basically,
yes, so I think that we've already seen, certainly the floor plan. And I think you've gone over the building coverage variance, front yard setback. We just talked about the extension of the asphalt driveway.
yes,
So,
I do. While we're on this C1, right here, you can see the 2 doghouse dormers. This is the hatched blue area. We do connect these 2 doghouses. That's where this blue area, this blue indicated area is referenced. Since we were right here, I just wanted to make that clear. And it is indicated, it says proposed 2nd floor shed dormer additions to replace 2 existing doghouse dormers, and it arrows points right there.
Is that triggering anything variance wise?
Well, no, well, it's existing. Yes, it's an existing non-conforming condition, but you can't extend a non-conformity. So it's still considered part of the variance. And Eileen requested to have it flagged on the survey.
Okay.
going down now. Okay, so we went through existing, went through second floor. That's just the basement. Nothing is really, that's just existing basement. Went through, those are existing elevations. I better make this a little smaller. I did explain that you could see that this little cape has been added onto, as many of the capes in the area have been. This is the new floor plan. You can see that most of it is kept in as it is. It's just that it's been opened up. So as you walk in, the stairs remain where they are. It's just that the wall here has been removed to give you a breath. So because the door takes most of the space between the front and the first riser, you can step to your left as you open the door now. And the dining room is now occupied by a family room area, which has more open to a kitchen. The kitchen is open to the dining room area. And then which once was the family room behind the fireplace is now the beginning of the first floor bedroom with our new addition. Behind the garage remains as it is. Clipped the corner though to make an entry, and the utility areas remain, which is the powder room and a washer dryer area, a laundry. So you could see that just by opening it up, it has a little bit better sense of flow, a little easier organization. So it's just making a small home a little more useful. And of course, with the left side sleeping quarters, it's like a compact little home now.
And these, wait, stop right there quickly, because we're almost done, I think. This landscaping that you're showing, is that existing or proposed?
That's just decorative. It's just green on paper. It has no bearing on anything.
So the board should not consider that.
Well, to be honest with you, she's a very kind and considerate client, and she intends on having her home landscaped. The neighboring properties are close, and she will be considerate to them in landscape. We've had this discussion, but it will be a next step.
Okay, so
But that has no bearing on that's just greenery. That's just color on paper at this point.
So that's not even intended where the landscaping is going to be placed, correct?
She intends to hire a landscape designer.
All right. Okay.
What is there something you want her to do?
No, you're showing landscaping on a plan, and now you're telling the board, ignore it, because it's not what we're going to necessarily do. And I'm just seeking clarification for the benefit of the board.
It was just a suggestion to the owner, and it just, we're really here for the variances.
Okay.
So these are just some interior views. Bedroom space, master bedroom space, kitchen area. This is upstairs over the family room. It's going to be a double-story space to take advantage of as much openness as possible. And she'll reduce, because she's requesting a first floor bedroom, she'll reduce the second level just to one bedroom and a bathroom. Section through the family room to your left, a view into the family room in the middle, and a view of the second floor bathroom. That's just in the basement. You could see the hatched area is where the existing family room is now, and the clean space is the new added area. It's the new elevation.
You wanna zoom in on that? Hold the
I know I
control
want,
key,
I want to
There's
move
a-
it over.
Then hit the left button,
This one.
the left, no, the top, on the top, very simple. Hit
Oh,
that, and
oh,
then move it.
sorry.
It turns to a hand. You move it.
Something
Do
happened.
do you have anything else at this point?
Got it.
I'm just going to show you the,
I just push it. Just push it around.
just try to show you that we, even with the work that we're doing on the little home, we try to keep it, try to be conscious of its original nature and the, its Cape feeling. We did add a front entryway and its cottage feeling. I can't make it move again.
Want to move it down?
Up is fine. I think they're done. You can go up. That is the front elevation. Side. Instead of little pieces everywhere, just try to harmonize the massing, try to keep it more coherent. You could go down.
Where do you want to go?
8888.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
And our last architectural is the rear elevation. We have a sliders out to the rear. That's the rear elevation. We try to tie the home together with a continuous roof line. Try to keep it simple. And that's everything.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to get off the screen sharing?
Actually, I would ask that it be kept up for just a
Oh,
minute.
okay.
Sorry, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a couple quick questions. Could you please go to A3?
A3?
A3, it's existing.
Yes.
So could you please tell me what is the width of the family room that as depicted here? What's the width? You know, you have the main house, then you have that addition. What's the width of the family room? No, in the I apologize. In the back to A3, right? In the
A3 is existing elevations. What is it?
right there,
Design?
right, no, come down. All right, I'm sorry.
I can get the actual dimensions off of the existing floor plan if that's what you would like.
Existing, just if you could go to the existing front elevation.
Existing,
Front elevation, which is A3. He wants A3.
okay.
Okay, right there, that's it. Now, what's the width of that family room that's on the left?
The width is about 10 feet.
10 feet, great. And if you go to A7, please.
Tony, why doesn't you scroll for me?
I don't know why it's acting weird, so I'm just pushing it.
Oh.
So where's it want to go?
A7.
Tell me where you would like to go again?
A7.
A7.
Okay, perfect. That's good. Now, what's the width of that addition now? It went from 10 feet to what?
Uh,
24 feet.
Yeah, but that's from the old house,
Wait.
not from the original part. Give me that rule.
Yes, it is. It's the
No,
same.
no, no, this-
Wait,
this
ma'am,
part
ma'am,
is
you
the-
seem to be talking to somebody in the room. Please just try to answer the question for Mr. Toger.
Well, he's helping me.
Well, but he's not sworn to provide testimony. You are, so.
Tony, if this is, he says 10 feet, he wants to know from here to here, 24 feet.
Okay, but
24 feet.
Okay, so in essence, you've added 14 feet onto the existing family room.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Now, the next thing that so now my concern and my focus is the impact that this addition has on your neighbor to the left. Because, we all visited the site and we saw that it's amazing to me how close the two buildings are right now. You're adding 14 feet on to the addition. So you're in essence moving this building, at least from my perspective, almost into the front yard of the neighbor. So could you comment on that, please? Thank you.
Yes. So the impact is minimized by the fact that the land, the site, it's actually very hard to interpret because the land, the plot itself is a pie shape. And I actually stepped the design to run parallel with the setback. So it's not as if the 14 feet is just going to jut out towards your neighbor. So as you perceive the neighbor being close to the building, it's the 14 feet is not just going horizontally towards the neighbor. It's actually layering and stepping forward. It's almost like cascading along the pie angle.
Yep, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Do we have
It was actually a concern and a consideration. I actually worked it the best I possibly could. I mean, and to be honest with you, the setback is 10 feet. So the side yard setback is not in violation. It's the front yard setback that's in violation.
Right, thank you.
Do we have any other questions that require the screen sharing to be on, or can we, from any board members, or can we take that down? Okay, can you get off the screen sharing?
Sure.
We could get back
Thank
on.
you.
Regular. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
stop. Stop share.
Okay, first of all, okay. Do we have any other questions from board members? Okay. What's going on with Amy?
I had to switch devices. My battery was dying.
Okay. All right, let's go to the audience. Do we have any questions from the audience? I see one hand raised. questions only right now?
Yeah. Hello, this is Matthew Gentile. Can you hear me?
Hi, we can hear you. Can you get on camera, please?
Let's see if we can. Start video. Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. My name is Matthew Gentile. I live at 29 Old Short Hills Road. I'm the neighbor to the right. And I do have some comments on the
Oh,
presentation.
okay, first, do you have any questions?
I do not have questions. Nope.
Okay, give us 1 second. Is there anyone else in the audience who has any questions? Okay, I don't see any, so let's hear your comments.
Hold on.
Wait, we
You need to be sworn.
get sworn in.
Sir, if you just raise your right hand, please, you swear from the testimony you're about to give tonight to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Matthew Gentile, 29 Old Short Hills Road, Millburn.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm the neighbor, as you look towards Imrana's home, I'm the neighbor to the right. Our yards are adjacent to each other, her side yard and my backyard. But we have, minimal green space back there between the two of us. And my concern, from my perspective, I'm fine with what they're doing with the building. My concern is with the parking area. Adding that 24.5 feet by 7.66 feet, about 200 square feet of asphalt, now pushing it closer to my house. I think, first of all, it just doesn't look right. For us, if we lose green space, we lose the beauty of that green space that we have, that we both look at. And it's not just the asphalt, it's the cars that are going to be parked on it. That's a lot of mass when you park at least one more car in this space that's now off to the right of her current driveway. So I really would not like to see that happen. I've heard arguments about not being able to back out. Our driveway is exactly the same orientation onto Haddonfield Road, facing the junior high. That's the only way we can get in and out. We back in and out every day. It's a non-issue. I'm not sure about the arguments of maneuverability, K-turns, and safety. I have to tell you, it kind of bothered me to hear those arguments because we drive in and out of our driveway every day, dealing with the buses, dealing with the one-way, and it's fine. So I don't understand that argument. But beyond that, because I'm not an expert in traffic and K-turns and all that, my concern is with the aesthetics, with the green space, and just having that extra mass of asphalt. And of course, a car is going to park on that space, whether it's with Imrana or the next person who owns the home. Of course, cars are going to use that space. No one ever does not use parking space once it's put in place. That's my comment.
Thank you. Do you have any other comments from the audience? Okay, I don't see any, hear any, so let's close the public portion. And then can I get some comments from board members? Anyone?
So I'll start. I understand the nature of the pie shape, the geometry of the pie shape, and it's remarkable how close the two homes are, the applicant's home and the home on the left. And I know it faces different, but 14 feet, a 14-foot addition, from my perspective, is definitely going to have a negative impact on the neighbor, because now when the neighbor steps out of their front door and they look to the left, they're going to see this gigantic addition, where today they don't, from my perspective. The other thing that bothers me is the massing of the addition on that left side, where today it's stepped down and there are actually two windows, right, in the existing. Now it's just going to be this taller blank wall that's going to be there. So that there's a massing issue that I have a problem with for those two. And then also, and I agree with the neighbor to the right about the issue with the driveway. I'm not sure that, I think that if they want to put an extra parking place, they should put in an application for relief so they can have extra parking. Thank you.
Thanks. Can I hear from some other board members, please? Wolfgang?
Yeah, I would somewhat echo Steve's comments in that this is, I mean, the fact that the building coverage is over, you know, that they're seeking a variance for that, and that also the front yard setback is very, it's a very large variance that they're asking for, and it's by far and away much closer, significantly closer to the street than any other portion of the existing construction. And to me, it just looks out of character. It looks large to the point of out of character with that lot size.
Okay, thank you. Can I hear from some other board members, please? Amy, Chandru, Joe, if you're in on this. Please.
I would echo Wolfgang and Steve's comments here. I think it would look large for the mass that it has, that is being proposed, and certainly also takes away the green as the neighbor mentioned. So certainly, echo the comments that were made so far.
I would say regarding the driveway, as proposed on the plan, the 19 roughly feet that it is essentially enough width to park another car, and the 4.5 that was proposed, frankly, is not enough to turn a car. It doesn't, serve the purpose of perhaps what was trying to be achieved. And I do agree that it's it seems, out of, I guess what's the point? It's not what we consistently do to allow a second parking spot. And essentially that's what it is. And the 4.5 feet doesn't resolve anything. It just creates more surface in the front yard. So I'm not particularly in favor of that. And I think I agree with what has been said regarding the front yard setback on the side, that it is quite close to the street, and it is quite massive for that location.
Thank you, Amy. I'll just chime in with respect to the driveway issue. I was under the impression that our zoning officer is permitting the smaller, whatever was decided. I didn't take notes on it, 4 feet or 4.5 feet. So Rob, am I correct that that's not, if Eileen is permitting that, it's not really an issue for us to opine on or decide on, because that's not coming before us for a variance?
I think there's two issues. First of all, there's no site plan approval associated with a single family home. Number two, if the 4.5 feet does not trigger lot coverage, 30% or any other variance, and it can't physically accommodate a second parked car, then it does, arguably fall outside the purview of this board for purposes of this application. I don't know if Eileen is comfortable, based on the information that's been given to her, to conclude that it doesn't trigger the need for, any type of other variance relief, or that given the combined width that you couldn't get, 2 cars parked in there in terms of being an enforcement issue. So I would sort of, defer to Eileen on that, but Jessica, you're absolutely correct that if there's nothing that's triggered by way of variance or exception relief for adding some macadam, in the front, then the board wouldn't have the ability to approve or deny it, frankly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess that, the next thing that I'll say is to the applicant, it doesn't seem like the board members seem to be very in favor of the plan as it stands, putting aside the driveway issue. So I guess my question for you would be, do you want us to go to a vote? Or do you perhaps want to, discuss this with your client and, maybe want to tweak things and come back before us?
And
Right.
And just keep in mind I'm sorry, Jessica, for
No, I was going to
clarification.
say, Rob, if you could take over.
Yeah,
and
no.
explain the
I
ramifications.
definitely don't need to take over. I just
No, I
want to
mean, yeah.
just for the applicant's edification, I don't believe that Mr. Steinberg would be eligible to vote because of his technical Zoom issues that he was appeared to be experiencing. So, we're talking about 5 board members. You've heard from most, if not all of them. You need a majority vote to prevail. And the question is whether, based on Ms. Glatt's comment, whether you want to go to a vote or whether you want to carry the application to another date and see if you can maybe via a plan revision address some of the concerns raised by the board members and members of the public.
I would be happy to. The addition does not extend. It sits behind the existing front of the home. So it does not extend beyond the front of the existing home. That's number one. It is not in violation of a side yard setback. That is number two. We are before you with a variance because, number one, the house is severely in violation, existing violation of a front yard setback. The front yard setback almost meets the rear yard setback in this case, in this situation.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but you stated, I thought we had clarified earlier that the existing front yard setback is 24.5 feet.
No, it's 40 feet.
No, it's not. What is required by the ordinance is 40 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, but so yes, you are right. And the building front line, the building does not sit in front of its existing frontage. So the massing of the building does not come in front of its existing facade. The massing, it sits behind it.
But
if it was in a rectangular plot, the setback would. Can you help me, Eileen?
Yeah, if.
Well, the reality is that your lot, the street curves. So although it's not technically not exceeding the current line of your house, the street, the street curves in. So you're saying it's not extending beyond the current line of the house, but your street is cutting into your property, so it is giving that effect as though it is closer to the property, to the
Correct.
front.
So it's really the nature of all these existing conditions that are penalizing, the property and the project and everything, that's before us, not really what we're putting on paper, because what we're putting on paper is really not, and I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to, take heed and work the design, whatever, suggestions the board has. But it's really, not, it's an undersized lot. The front yard setback is not going to get any better, no matter, if I, the curve where the curve starts, even if I pull it forward, I'm sort of like wedged. So I'm going to take heed and I'm going to listen to you, but I'm not really sure, how successful I'm going to be at, of getting this greatly changed to satisfy you. So maybe just what is it that I can do to, how is it that I could satisfy some requests?
I don't think that that's something that, the board can tell you. I think it's more just a matter of taking into consideration what the board members' comments have been. And again, you don't have to do this, but I just wanted to, give you the option. It just doesn't seem like you have the votes based on the board members' comments. So, you could proceed as you see fit, but we can't we can't redesign the application for you. We could just give you the comments, which the board members did.
Okay, well, I'll be happy to take another look. And I appreciate your time and your comments. So going forward, does that mean that we do have the 4.5% and then, 4.5 feet on the driveway? And when we come back, it is really, it is basically the addition that we're concerned with? What do I have going forward and what don't I have?
I don't think it's a question, and I don't want to speak for the chair or members of the board, but I don't think it's a question of what you have and what you don't have. I think that, and this is not atypical, where the board makes comments, gives their impressions about the application, and then the applicant decides that maybe instead of just going for a vote, that we'll take another look at the plan and see if we can revise the plan to address either in whole or even somewhat some of the comments of the board members and members of the public before a formal vote. So I don't think that the board is in a position, nor would I advise them to, give advisory opinions as to what's good and what's bad and what's acceptable. It's the applicant's application. They have the burden of proof. So my suggestion respectfully would be just ask for the matter to be carried. Seems like that's where you want to go. Let's get
Yes.
another date with no further notice being necessary. And then you can speak to the applicant and your staff and decide what, if anything, you want to do with regard to the plans as presented.
That would be fine. But what I'm asking is, do I have to readdress the driveway issue?
I would say based on our discussions tonight, I relented to 4.5 feet. That, that was a bit of a compromise.
We'll just show it at the 4.
Well, but again, you heard some board members comment about
Still
the
don't
fact
like
that
it.
4.5 feet doesn't really do anything because it's not enough for a K-turn. So, and I'm paraphrasing there.
Yeah.
So you just got to take, and we apologize. You just have to take all the comments into consideration and decide how you want to go forward with the application.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, just one more question and comment to add. If the applicant does decide that they would like to move forward with a wider driveway, they would need to notice that, right?
Correct. That's correct.
So
Okay.
They want to do that.
yeah, if
Want to
if
make
they-
sure
if
the
they-
applicant knows, yeah.
Right, if they want to ask for the additional parking space, then they would have to renotice, for the new date, whenever the new date is.
Which is probably going to be the first meeting of October.
Okay, is that October 3rd?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you then.
Okay, wait. So just for the record, this matter is being carried to the board meeting of October 3rd, 2022. No further notice will be provided to the public with regard to this application. And the application at the time will be heard over the Zoom platform. 7:00 p.m. on October 3rd.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you then. Thank you for your time.
Same here, thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, we are going to move on. Joe, I see that you were unmuted. Can you hear us?
I have been, not only can I hear you, I've been involved in the hearing from the beginning.
Okay,
in the
great.
sense that I've heard
Okay,
everything.
Perfect.
Rob, I have one comment. On the first matter that was heard tonight, you stated in summation at the end that there would be no further notice given to the applicant. Is that true?
What do you mean? Are you saying if the application right now is carried until the October 3rd, 2022 meeting of the board with no further notice being required? However, as we stated, if the applicant decides to ask for variance relief for the extra parking space, then they'd have to renotice.
I'm just suggesting that you read the transcript of tonight's hearing and see exactly what you said. I'm not sure it was accurate.
You're talking about the first application we heard, or this just one?
The first application.
The first application we didn't carry because it was deficient notice. That was Bodwell.
I think that's accurate. What you just said, Eileen. Rob, I'm going to suggest that you go back and look at the transcript of tonight's hearing on the first application and make sure that everything you said to the applicant and to the public that with respect to that application is accurate. That's what I'm saying.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to calendar 388222, sorry, 2 Joanna Way, Mark and Lauren Firestein. Okay, I see that they're here. Do you have anyone else with you that you need brought over?
Just the two of us.
Okay, so let's get you, are you gonna both be speaking?
Yes.
Okay, let's get you both sworn in then.
Both raise your right hands, please. Do you swear from testimony to give tonight to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Your names for the record, please.
Mark Firestein.
Lauren Firestein.
Okay, and what brings you before us today?
Thank you very much for having us. We are proposing to put a fence around our property, for the most part, will be wrought iron. The variance relief requested is for the fence that would be abutting Parsonage Hill Road. That is on, just for visual purposes, page 15 of the PDF attached. There's a highlighted path alongside Parsonage. We're proposing a 6-foot board-on-board fence, which would match the fencing put up by the North Pond Association, as well as fencing matching properties from 18 to 52 Joanna Way on our side of the street.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Is a portion of the fence you're requesting wrought iron and another portion is board on board?
The only variance relief requested, Steve, is the board on board and 6-foot, which will be running alongside Parsonage Hill. So if you're looking at the survey, I'm happy to screen share, by the way, if that would be easier for folks.
Sure.
Going to share my screen right now. Would help if I click screen share, as Lauren correctly points out. If you look, and it should be sharing right now, if you see where my cursor is running, that highlighted section is proposed to be a 6-foot board on board. The fencing that is directly abutting it, put up by the North Pond Association, is also 6-foot board on board. So we are matching that height and matching that look. The rest of the fencing, which is additionally highlighted on the screen here, is not proposed for a variance relief. That's within code.
Okay, you could stop screen sharing.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're just trying to find the.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe you click all that one. Maybe escape. Yeah, return. Oh. He has too many monitors. Okay, we're back.
So the only relief that they need, as he pointed out, is the fence that's running along Parsonage Hill Road, which is in the front yard. It is a county road, and the ordinance would allow a 4-foot, 4-foot, it can only be 4 feet tall and can only be chain link, cannot be chain link or board on board. So that's the only portion that they need relief for, is the Parsonage Hill Road fence.
So can you, oh, sorry, Wolfgang, you ask your question.
I just had a quick question. The portion of the fence, which is to be on the side of Joanna Way, does that not count, given its location, as being in the front yard?
No, because if you look at the front of their house is actually dictated by the portion that juts out in the front.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm drawing the front line.
Cool, thank you.
And that, just so you know, the reason we're doing that is to save a really old tree to go around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you provide some testimony why you're seeking the variance in terms of needing the 2 extra feet and wanting to do board on board, please?
Yeah, a couple items on that point. One, the 6-foot is actually to match the optics of the fence from the North Pond Association, because otherwise you have an optical drop, and it matches the lineage up the road. From our perspective, it provides a fence for our infant son to be able to be in the yard and be blocked off from traffic. But it matches, not only does it match the North Pond Association, as my wife noted in the application, it matches the board on board fencing that's actually on every property between 18 and 52 Joanna Way on our side of the street.
And if I could add, it is very nice when we're walking around the neighborhood. The other houses that we notice that have it does create a bit of an oasis, because Parsonage is it's a busier street. Just the reality of it.
Okay, so when you say that it matches not only the board on board, it also matches height wise.
Correct.
We took a tape measure to make sure.
Thank you.
So the rest of the fence will be wrought iron, right?
Yes.
And that will also be 6 feet?
No, it'll be 4 feet, and we have no plans to put in a pool, which is why 4 feet seemed sufficiently high to keep our child in the back.
Okay, so I just want to ask Eileen. So Eileen, if this fence didn't go to the front of the house, but just fenced in to the back of the house, right? Then the only variance they would need would be for the 6-foot board on board. Is that right?
If their proposed fence, I'm sure I didn't follow you. The
So
proposed-
what I'm saying is that if their proposed fence only encircled the backyard, right? As opposed to going up to the front, my understanding is that if the fence just goes to the back of the house,
They would be able to do a 6-foot, they would be able to do whatever they want.
they could do whatever they want, right? So the
6
reason
feet.
why there's 2 variances, the other variance is because they want the fence to go up to the front of the house. As
Yeah, they're
opposed-
coming beyond the front of the house a little bit, yeah.
You go beyond the front of the house, right? So let me ask you, why are you going beyond the front of your house? Why can't you just fence, the backyard? Why does it have to go beyond the front of the house?
So just so we can clarify, sorry, this is a question back to Eileen. When we talked about it, I'm sorry, Eileen. When we talked about it in the office, the part along Parsonage was seen as front of the house, even though it is our backyard because it's a corner lot. Is that right? Yeah, so I think that's the part that's being called front of the house, which is a little counterintuitive when you see the property.
No, but what he's trying to say is that if you pull, instead of, you're going like from the front of your property, of your dwelling over to Parsonage Hill Road and then going down, I guess, along, is there a wall there or something? What he's saying is that if you instead of doing that, if you took the fence and went from the rear corner of your property all the way back, it would not be in the front yard. It would be a.
Do you mind if we screen share again? Just,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm
Clarify.
following. And then. Okay, sorry, we're screen sharing. Eileen, are you talking? Can you see my mouse?
Yes, so if you go to, you see
Okay.
there's 2 inlets there. If you went to the rear corner of your house, looks like there's steps coming off there.
Yeah.
If you started there and kept your fence parallel to Parsonage Hill Road, but just started there and went, down to your property, you would be in the rear yard. You wouldn't be in the front yard, so it would not require, that's the point Steve's trying to make.
Oh,
The same on the other side, right? On the other side, Eileen?
No, the other side
The
doesn't.
other side is fine.
It's fine.
Other side's fine.
Yeah, it's just that.
With this. So we're sorry, we're talking about this right here.
Right, even if you came from there and drew a line parallel to Parsonage Hill Road, so that you're still technically not in the front yard, it would be hard to meet up with anything, though. I see what there's really no fence to kind of hook into at that point.
Yeah, and there's a pretty significant slope coming down off of that inlet. So it would actually be pretty difficult to keep that maintained. That's actually where the highlighting is right now. Would it basically come into the garage, and that's actually a fairly flat piece of the property.
Okay.
I think some folks may have walked the property and would see that there's a pretty significant slope if you follow my mouse cursor right here. There's a pretty significant slope downwards running off into the pond. It would be pretty difficult to build anything. It's actually sometimes difficult to walk, particularly when it rains, up and down that slope.
Just a clarificatory question here.
Sure.
You mentioned that the 6 feet with your neighbor is all along the Parsonage Hill Road. Is it all parallel to Parsonage Hill Road?
Correct. So our proposed fence, which I'm going to circle again here, that's the 6-foot board on board, would be directly abutting a separate 6-foot board on board fence put up by the North Pond Association. Our direct neighbor is water. on that side, and that fence is maintained by the North Pond Association.
So it goes right here, and this is already board on board 6
Can,
foot.
can you just identify where the fence is going to tie into that North Pond Association fence?
Yeah, it's gonna connect right to it. And so here where my mouse is, and there's no highlighting connecting, is already a fence. That 6 foot board on board. And we talked to the North Pond Association and they said it's fine if we connect here and connect here. And we talked to them about access so they can get in if they need to.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Would you be using the same style board-on-board fence that the North Pond Association has that, continues down, or would it be board-on-board, just a different?
I don't know that we've necessarily discussed it. It's a good question. Not having necessarily spoken about it, I think we're thinking more of a flatter edge. The North Pond Association fence is a bit more, for lack of a better way to put it, spiked. And I can stop screen sharing if others want, so that you can see us. It's a bit more spiked on top. We're thinking more of a traditional flatter or slightly rounded 6 foot board on board, matching in height, not necessarily matching an exact style.
Okay. Do you have any other questions from board members?
Yeah, Jessica, just a follow-up question. How far off the property line is the fence? Is it on the property line you have with parsonage, or is it in, or just trying to understand where it will stand?
Yeah, sorry, we just stopped screen sharing. Do you mind screen sharing?
I got it.
It's proposed on the right of way line, so there is some dirt between where the fence would be and where parsonage would be. And if you came to the property, there's 2 old columns that you can see in this drawing. And we didn't want to knock them down. They're, kind of historic. So we were going to put the fence on the other side. So the columns would be on the inside of the fence. We don't think they're structurally sound enough to connect the fence to the columns.
Mm-hmm. And is that your property line exactly, or where those columns are?
I believe the right of way line here is the property line, and that the columns are on the inside.
I see.
And the fence would just touch the columns there.
Yeah, for point of reference, by the way, Chandra, it's a good question. This is the exact survey that was used when we purchased our home in January of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of a further question to that, as going along following along Parsonage Hill Road, when I was there, I saw where you had a white cord, a white rope, kind of indicating where the fence would go. And did I understand correctly? I see correctly that it's going to be kind of not right on the edge, but it's going to be like between, kind of in the tree line, so to speak.
Yes,
So it's somewhat sheltered from the street a little bit.
Yes, we are not knocking down any trees very much for preserving all the trees. So it goes between trees on both sides. There'll even be a little, if we go through it sorry, I don't know if you can see me. I'm gonna stop share. There would even be a little dip through, there's an old oak tree.
Mm-hmm.
And so rather than going all the way 6 feet up and cutting that down, we're gonna have a little dip if we could get the variance.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Questions? I don't see any. What about comments from anyone in the audience? I don't see any either. All right, let's get back to the board. Could I get some comments?
Can I ask Rob a question, please? So Rob, when I look at this particular ordinance or this particular variance as to whether or not board on board would be allowed, what's the criteria that we are using? It's not just aesthetics, right? Or is it that? Help me understand what criteria I apply here.
Right. So the argument is not your C1 argument per se. There's no real hardship. Although one could argue that potentially the existing conditions of structures, including the existing fence that is, that they're tying into, and the fence along Parsonage Hill would provide, potential argument that whether it's a C1 on their property or C2, the benefits outweighing the detriments, that having a board-on-board fence that is more in keeping with the aesthetics of the fencing of the surrounding neighborhood, including the height of it, would provide more of a neighborhood feel, and it wouldn't look so out of place. And that could arguably provide justification for variance relief. So it is, in essence, aesthetics as to why you would allow the board on board in circumstances where the ordinance would not allow it.
Okay, thank you.
And Rob, sorry, just to follow on that, and the same reason for not allowing it, right, is aesthetic.
Yeah, correct. I mean, certainly the reason for I think it's pretty clear, the reason for the ordinance is that, you don't want high fences in the front yard along the roadway in question. And they don't want board on board because they don't want to make it seem,
like
a
wall.
fortress. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a wall or a fortress.
So in my looking at this, and I appreciate that Parsonage it's busy, but it's not South Orange, right? It's a lot different than, because in my mind, as I read the application, I thought that, you're talking about how busy it is, but it's still one-way traffic each way, but it is a busy road. Whereas like South Orange, the cars go much faster and there's more of them. And so I drove back up and down that road quite a few times to see where other board on board is. And I think it looks horrible. I think the board on board, they're different colors. A lot of them are broken and some of them are rotted. And fortunately, there's none across the street from you, and there's none diagonal from you or across. But if you go down further towards White Oak on Parsonage, you see a whole series of these board on board boards. And so aesthetically, I would much rather see, if you have security issues and things like that, wrought iron across your property on Parsonage. So I'll just put that out there.
Steve, you're saying even if it's 6 feet?
Even if it's 6 feet, yeah, sure. If you want 6 feet for deer or security, that's fine. I can appreciate that. It's a busy road. It doesn't get a lot of foot traffic, but it's busy. So that's my comment.
Other board members, can I get some more comments?
I'm also I'm overall in favor of what the applicant is trying to do, but like Steve, it's the look of the board on board, even though there's a fair amount of it along Parsonage Hill already, having more of it isn't necessarily a good thing. And to have something which is more aesthetically pleasing, that breathes a little bit more, has a little more space to it, I think that would be preferable.
Anyone else?
I had similar thoughts. I was thinking that, based on what Rob mentioned, that it looks, like a fortress. I mean, it kind of, that was the original intent of, putting that out there. But, are we perpetuating it by allowing, to keep it consistent with something which is like a fortress? And to what Wolfgang just mentioned and what Steve mentioned, to keep it a little airy, maybe it is at the same height. That could be something which certainly probably feel better. That would be my thoughts.
Amy, did I see you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I'll wait. If we're talking about for or against based on aesthetic, right? I think that, and I guess that's a little bit subjective, everyone's aesthetic, but nonetheless, having one consistent fence versus two types of fences seems more appropriate, and not having a wall of fence on the road where like people use the word breathable or whatever, like you see trees and you see greenery as you're driving by versus a board on board fence. also would be, I think, more aesthetically pleasing. So from those perspectives, I think that, you know, I agree with what folks said before me.
Okay. Joe, do you want to weigh in?
Are you asking us?
No, I'm just
No.
asking Joe, but that's okay. I'll weigh in. I tend to agree with the board member, you know, my fellow board members. This is tough because Parsonage Hill is a busy street and you want privacy from it. And you know, I understand the safety, privacy concerns. And I do look out and I see that the North Pond Association has that whole long board-on-board fence. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing fence. I'm not bothered at all by the height. I'm wondering if there's, you know, I wasn't as concerned about the board-on-board that you were proposing because it seemed to me that you were putting it kind of behind the landscaping, so there would still be trees in front of it, so it wouldn't have that same look that the North Pond Association fence has. But I'm wondering if to maybe satisfy the you know, my fellow board members, you know, no one seems to be against the height and the extra 2 feet of height. If maybe you would be, you know, more amenable to doing some kind of, you know, either continuing the wrought iron, something like that, and then to achieve the privacy that you're looking for, putting landscaping in front of it. And maybe that could be a way to satisfy the board. You know, again, my fellow board members, I haven't heard any comments that anyone is against the height. It really seems to be about the board on board.
Yeah, no, appreciate all the comments, and appreciate as well the concern and consideration that Parsonage, while Steve, I will give you that it is certainly not South Orange. It is a 35-mile-an-hour street where people are accelerating off of Old Short Hills Road and coming off of the JFK Parkway. So people are moving pretty quickly on that road, and the traffic is pretty meaningful. Appreciate the suggestion, Jessica, as well, that to the idea of doing a wrought iron and providing some privacy via additional landscaping. I would just raise the one question to this group on the question of aesthetics as to whether or not it would look optically odd to have a wrought iron fence that directly abuts the North Pond Association fence. That was actually one of our biggest concerns and considerations in this matter, which is that the fence that it would be directly abutting is itself a board on board.
I think your neighbor across the street has wrought iron, right?
There's across the street, there's no fence. I call it kitty corner. Diagonal
Yeah.
is board on board.
There's
Diagonal
another
across.
wrought iron fence near you, but the point is that a wrought iron fence you really don't see. I mean, it's, you know, you're driving by, you don't really see it. And I think that's the argument of the open space concept. It kind of, it gives you the kind of, you know, protection or security you're looking for. But as you're driving by, you don't really see a wrought iron fence.
Okay.
I'd add that.
So just to confirm, the board is okay with a 6-foot wrought iron fence abutting Parsonage Hill Road, and if I can infer based on the opinions that the board is not okay with a 6-foot board on board. Is that a correct and fair assumption based on the feedback?
Rob, if I'm allowed to say, I don't know what I'm allowed to say here, but yes. Is it okay for me to say yes? It seems to be that way.
Okay, understood and appreciated. Do we need to resubmit the application if we were to go forward with a 6-foot that is wrought iron as opposed to a 6-foot that is board on board?
Because one of the variances was 6 versus 4 feet.
You can actually
Be able to modify it tonight.
go right to basically just the application for the board on board could have a separate vote, and if that was denied, and then another vote for the 6 feet versus a 4 feet, and if that passed, then there could be conditions associated with the approval of the 6 feet versus the 4 feet. which could include that the fence be wrought iron and that it would be, some landscaping would be installed as maybe recommended by the board members.
Just to be clear, Rob, the 6-foot recommendation is not predicated on the concept of landscaping. I think
Well, that's up to the board. So in other words,
Yeah.
if the board would take 2 separate votes, and on either or both votes, they could impose, the person who's making the motion could impose reasonable conditions associated with that motion to either approve or deny the variance at issue. And the reason for conditions is typically to ameliorate or mitigate against any detrimental impact that could be perceived by the variance that's being granted.
Understood. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just an FYI for that area, it's very shady from all these lovely old trees. And the deer are eating everything I've tried planting. So with landscaping, we will try,
Yeah,
but
and
the deer are.
and I would note as well, Rob, that was a recommendation made on the basis of seeking more privacy as homeowners and not necessarily as an aesthetics issue, which was appreciated as one.
Okay.
So Rob, is the best way, assuming that the applicant is, amenable to this, is it that we should go forward with the vote, separate it from the board on board, and then the additional 2 feet? Or would it be better for them to just withdraw, assuming that they'd want to do this, withdraw the board on board and just propose the additional 2 feet by way of a 6-foot wrought iron fence?
That's up to the applicant. You can do it
Okay.
either way.
I prefer to not have a vote against, so we will withdraw the board on board request and simply leave it at the 6 feet.
I don't know.
As a request for variance relief.
Correct. The second variance request of board on board, we would withdraw, but we would maintain the 6 foot and the 6 foot variance request and move that to be wrought iron.
And so a condition of the 6-foot variance request would be that it be wrought iron.
Yes.
Or I guess, whatever you guys say the conditions are.
Yeah.
Then we'll tell
Yeah.
you where-
No, it's a fair point. You tell us the conditions, Steve, but wrought iron is something.
So, it's so high up, you have so much elevation. I don't know that you need more plantings, I don't know.
Yeah.
Really high.
My suggestion for the plantings was more because I thought that, you felt that there was a privacy issue with, your backyard, being partially on, Parsonage Hill. So I just thought that, if the board wasn't going to give you the board on board, that you could achieve it by, through plantings. But I don't feel the need to make that a condition. I think there are a lot of trees back there. I mean, that's just me personally. So do we want to have someone then make a motion and you could choose to make it with conditions or not?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion.
Wait, hold on a second. So just to confirm, I'm sorry, Steve, that the application for the board on board fencing is withdrawn, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Steve, sorry.
Right, so with the understanding that board on board request is withdrawn and it'd be a 6-foot fence with the condition that it be wrought iron. So I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Chandru Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes.
Okay. Good to go.
Okay.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you all for the time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Ward Myers. This is calendar 3884, 37 Slayton Drive.
Good evening, panel.
Hi, Mr. Myers. Do you have anyone who is going to be presenting with you or? any
No,
witnesses
just myself.
or anything? Okay, let's get you sworn in then.
Just raise your right hand, please. Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give tonight to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Your name and address for the record.
Ward Myers, 37 Slayton Drive, Short Hills.
Thank you.
Okay. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your application, please?
Yes, and so this is a application for a 14 by 14 square patio, ground level to be added behind our house. I can go ahead and share screen for a map if that's easy. So this is a current map of the property, which should be in the packet that the panel members have. The area that we're talking about is at the sort of northmost aspect of the house. It's with a brick hash mark pattern that you can see. It's closest to the house along Long Hill Road or Long Hill Drive. There's a fairly significant elevation between the road and where the patio would be. And so it would not be visible directly from the road. The request for the variance is for a side yard setback. As you can see, it does closely abut the neighbor's house. It would be on our side of a retaining wall, and then a fair amount of established conifer trees. I think they're green giants, as well as some skip laurels are in the process of being put in, some of which are in, but died, and that are also providing other additional privacy in this area.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was curious, is there a reason why you're proposing to put it in that location versus connecting it to the porch, on the other side? That seems to be more in like your backyard and then your neighbor's backyard instead of closer to your neighbor's front side yard.
Yeah, so there's a little bit more space just in terms of where the retaining wall causes the curvature. If it's put on the side towards Long Hill Drive. And so that was more or less the reasoning for that particular spot. And I think it has the potential for a more appealing place to sit with sort of the hill going down. Being able to sort of like look out a little bit over that area through the shrubbery than the area which is the area which I think you're thinking of, which would be closer to where the driveway is and the cars and that type of thing.
Okay. Any other questions from board members?
Yeah, Mr. Myers, I'm just curious, how many chairs or couches you think you'll put out there?
So my vision is to put like one love seat, like probably 2 chairs and like a little removable fire pit type thing that could kind of come and go in that space. Something that would have to be gas, of course, given the proximity to landscaping and other types of things. But that's the sitting area that I'm kind of envisioning.
Right, it's really a sitting area for 3 or 4 folks, maybe. It's not like you can't have barbecues out there. You're not going to have parties.
No, so currently the property does have a deck which is directly adjacent to the kitchen, and that's where the barbecue sits right now. And so there's a gas plumbed in barbecue at that location. Yeah, we're not talking about a sort of a very large, expansive project. It's more just being able to have a small amount of outdoor space.
Any other questions from board members? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Anyone in the audience with questions? I don't see any. Any comments from anyone in the audience? I don't see any. Okay, back to the board. What do you all have to say?
Well, I'll go first. In looking at it and seeing it in person, I mean, it looks like the next door neighbor's house is kind of diagonal to it, a pretty good distance away. It looks like at least 20 feet. There's a lot of screening there, tall evergreens in between. If somebody really wanted to put chairs there and hang out, they could do it without the patio as well. So I don't know that having a patio there, I don't know that incites or encourages any behavior that wouldn't occur anyways. So given all those things together, I could support this.
I'm happy to make a comment too. I really don't have issue with the location, and I agree with Wolfgang's statement. The only, I guess, one concern I have is that it's screened from Long Hill Drive. I know you have those little, very small, I guess they're laurels or whatever, the small ones there on that side. I would personally prefer something much more screened. I don't know how long it takes those to grow, but that's my only comment on that.
I too would prefer something. My goal would be to have the skip laurels that are along Long Hill Drive, which currently are about 5 foot tall, continue in a line sort of across the front of that patio as well. So I think that's the vision that we're trying to execute. Unfortunately, the deer and drought were unkind to the current group that's in there. And so I'm going to try and get more of them put in that will match the current line that we have.
So the ones, sorry, just the ones that were there were taller and the deer ate them. Is that what happened?
No, so there were not any there. So there are several skip laurels along the house. There's a whole row of them on the house that faces Long Hill Drive. And so we added in 6 additional skip laurels. So the same type of plant, but just younger. And so it was shorter. And then unfortunately, several of those were eaten by the deer. And so within a few years, the anticipation, or at least the assurance that have been given from the gardener folks, is that they would grow up to match the height of the skip laurels that are also along the house on that side. So basically one continuous line of green. If you look at the pictures in the attachment, the last page that should be in the packet, there's the picture of the area from Long Hill Drive looking up at the house. And so you can see there's the 5 foot row of green head is really a series of skip laurel plants. And then I would like to continue that same visual effect across what would become the front of the patio.
Right. So I guess I would just personally, I would prefer to say that what's planted there is bigger, taller than what's there. Yeah.
Yes.
Any other comments for board members? Okay, then I'll chime in. I agree with Amy. I could support this application, but I would really like to see some more screening. I'd like to see a continuation of the screening from looking across, like where your neighbor's front yard is. And I would also like to see some taller screening coming from like the view of Long Hill Drive.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. And I think from a landscaping perspective, we would also value having appropriate height screening landscaping in that area.
So what are we talking about in terms of height?
So along Long Hill Drive, would have skip laurels be put in. It's difficult to plant in mature 5 foot skip laurels at this point, but I can certainly do my best to get ones taller than the ones that are in there currently. And then I believe that they're green giant arborvitaes that are planted. I'm not sure that they're cypresses that are planted along in between the neighbor's house, and certainly adding one or two sort of as additional. There's really not much of an area that's open from where the proposed patio would be to the neighbor's house. So I don't think that I could probably fit in more than one of the evergreens in that spot, but I'd be happy to do that.
Are those your trees, the evergreens?
So most of them are.
Okay.
The property line kind of, the plantings kind of parallel the property line. And so that, we certainly didn't plant them. We moved here in 2019, but when I've had the area surveyed, most of them are ours, but I think one or two of them may be theirs.
But you have the ability to plant one additional one just in the kind of that open area by the retaining wall? Like
Yes.
in
So
terms of
I would
your
plant the same. I certainly have space on the side of the retaining wall.
on your
on our side of the line
Okay.
to plant an additional tree that would be the same species.
Okay, great. Rob, if we're going to make a motion, should we put in the proposed landscaping? Is that the
Yes,
best way
as
to do it?
a condition of approval,
As a condition of approval? Okay.
with as much specificity as the person making the motion wishes to include.
Okay. So would anyone like to make a motion in this case?
So I move approval of this application.
Amy was muted.
Wolfgang can, I was gonna make the motion, but Wolfgang can do
Go ahead,
it.
Amy.
But I also just have a question. The applicant said, typically, I think when we request landscaping like this, we say something like, we want a 5-foot, skip laurel, 5 foot from the root ball. The applicant said that doesn't seem feasible. I don't know why it's not feasible. I don't want to.
I think the applicant said that they would try.
Okay, well, then
I
that's what
think-
I'd like to, I'd like to move approval of this application with the condition that the new patio is appropriately screened with 5 foot from the root ball, skip laurel along the Long Hill Drive side, and the additional evergreen in the space that is facing the applicant's adjacent neighbor.
So I'll second that.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Chandru Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, and we are now on our last application of the night. It is calendar 3886, 18 Berkeley Road, Mr. and Mrs. Thorson.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, hello. Okay, if everyone who's going to testify, just raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give tonight to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Yes.
Just state your names, your address, your names for the record one at a time.
Grant Thorson at 18 Berkeley Road in Millburn.
Karen Isaguirre Thorson at 18 Berkeley Road, Millburn.
I'm sorry, you did your first name again?
Karen Isaguirre Thorson at 18 Berkeley Road in Millburn.
Daniel Dubinet.
Okay, who's going to speak first?
We're going to ask if Daniel will speak on our behalf this evening. Thank you.
Okay, can you give us your qualifications, please?
Thank you. Sure. So licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I received my license 2001, and it's currently in effect and in good standings. I've practiced primarily residential architecture in Essex County. I've appeared before this board before a few times and in the surrounding counties and municipalities.
Thank you. Your qualifications as an architect have been accepted.
Thank you. So I would like to share the screen so I can run you through our proposal. And it consists of 4 slides, and they are similar to what you have in your package, but colorized. So I'd like to submit that as A1.
Do we have a date, Dan?
Should we put today's date as A1?
Sure. So these are 4 slides of the plans as colorized, correct?
Colorized with some additional imagery, photographs of the site and surrounding neighborhood, and some 3-dimensional images to support the application. And it's all one slide.
Okay.
Well, I should say one file, 5 slides.
5 slides? Okay. Got it.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is an application for a variance to allow an addition to the backyard. And there is one variance associated with this application. It's the side yard setback. The short story is in the R4 zone, we need 8 feet, and we're proposing 6 feet. So it's a 2-foot violation. The existing house is at 6 feet. So we're extending an existing nonconformity for a very little bit to allow the interior plan to work as well as we possibly can. So I'll run you through the application. Well, I'd like to start with the site plan. So what we have is the shaded area in the back is the addition, and the colorized portion of it is the area that we're seeking for the violation of 2 feet, and that's to allow a better kitchen plan, and I could show you that as well. It's also a 1-story addition, and we did some analysis of certainly the adjacent neighbor to the right and its impact, and I'll get into that a little bit. It's 17 feet away from the adjacent neighbor on the right. And what the neighbor on the right has, it's a 1-story addition, like a sunroom. They also sit at a higher elevation than us, and there's already some mature hedges that separate the properties. And our addition is in the rear, and so there's very, very little, if none, impact to the neighbor. The site is 58 feet wide, and in the zone, the minimum is 60. So we're 2 feet deficient in width. So the argument could be made that if we had the additional 2 feet, we wouldn't need it. So again, it's a slightly undersized in the width. We're seeking no other variance in terms of building coverage, lot coverage, FAR, anything like that. So the plan, in short, is it's a very narrow house, and we're going to do some interior remodeling to make this plan work and flow a little bit better. And one of the things is to move the staircase that's kind of in the kitchen zone and develop our kitchen here. So not a very large kitchen, but a good flow. And so it'll be a kitchen open to a small breakfast area, open to a family room. And so we really needed the 16 square feet here to make this kitchen work as best it could. Of course, we could avoid the variance, but I'd like to show you that the gain on the inside has very, very little impact to the outside, and we would to seek your approval. And again, it's a 1-story. So on the second floor, we're gonna be swapping, currently it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. We're gonna try to get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home and commandeer this existing little bedroom that's here, make it a laundry room. And so we'll have a 2nd floor master bedroom suite on the left side. So there's no violation there. The only violation is that 1 story for the kitchen to work. These are our elevations. Front elevation, no change to what you would see. The side elevation, this shaded area is that little box that we're seeking. And it really is, like I said, important to make the kitchen work. Rear elevation, most of the massings in the back of the house to the right. And again, that shaded little area that happens for about 8 feet, 2 feet wide by 8 feet long.
Dan, can I ask a quick question on that rear elevation? Now, that architectural design that I'll call it an archway, you're building that because it doesn't exist today.
Yeah, we're building, it's a nice addition to the back. It's this shape here.
Okay.
Is our addition. So we're gonna match the architectural style, the gambrel roof is the style of the house. So we're gonna keep the style of the house.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, I'll show you
Okay.
the 3D kind of brings it to light a little bit. So, but again, this is the addition in the back.
Okay.
It kind of, like I said, the 2-story massings on the right side and the 1-story massing on the left. And this dotted box is the area that we need to make the kitchen work a little bit better. And then we're seeing the right side elevation. So it's a pretty expansion to the house. It'll mimic the architectural style. And it'll be really well-needed space for them. This is the right side elevation. This is the area that's in question. Shows up here again. And this is just a different perspective of the left side of the home. The next slide is photographs that I took myself a week ago today, and they accurately depict the site as it is today. And the primary focus of the images is to show you the relationship from 18 Berkeley, which is this home, compared to, I think it's 20 Berkeley here. So 20 Berkeley, because the road's on a slight downgrade. So 20 Berkeley sits at a little bit higher elevation. They have a 1-story piece here that has 17 feet between the two. I'm sorry. Yes, 17 feet between the two. So the goal or the intent of the zone plan is both houses would have 8 feet, so it would net out 16. So we're at 17 feet. So we're maintaining the open air and effect between the two homes. The next slide is this same kind of comparison between 18 Berkeley and 20. Here you can see the mature hedges that sit between the two homes. These hedges are on my client's property, so we would like to maintain those. They're certainly very mature and well taken care of, well groomed. And I have some pictures of the rear. So the rear, the bottom left slide is the rear of the home and its relationship to the neighbor. And the bottom right, we're seeing those mature hedges, which are pretty tall, and especially since we're on a little bit lower grade than the neighbor. So there are many reasons why we could support this application. The first one being the narrow lot, slightly narrow. The second is that it's an existing non-conforming situation that we're just going to expand a little bit. So I don't think there'll be any significant change for the neighbors. It will maintain the open and air space between the two homes. It's a 1-story addition. It's well screened. And the solar path, which worked in our favor, will never cause a shadow to the neighbors, because north is here, south is here, so east is here and west is here. So the it'll rise in the morning and set here, so there'll be no negative impact from that end, and no trees will come down as a result of it. It'll certainly update and modernize the interior floor plan and give some curb appeal to the back of the house. One positive aspect, besides updating and modernizing the home, is we're planning on reducing or eliminating, I should say. There's a walkway, an existing walkway that makes its way around the property this way. We're going to reduce, well, get rid of that. This way, there's no foot traffic expectation over there, so it'll reduce whatever foot traffic could possibly come out through this walkway, which will be a positive for the neighbor. And I don't see any negative impact of allowing this application. Again, it won't block the light and air space. The trees will come down, and it will increase and modernize this home. That's our application. And again, it's that one variance for side yard setback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from board members? Do we have any questions from the audience? Anyone in the audience have any questions? Do we have any comments from anyone in the audience? Comments? Don't see any hands raised. Okay, board members, what do you think?
Jessica, may I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
So you mentioned that enhancing that area in the kitchen gives better dimensions within the kitchen. If you could just elaborate a little bit on the rationale for increasing that.
Sure. So we looked at, of course, with such a small variance requested, we looked at eliminating that 2 foot, but it would devastate the function and flow of that kitchen, meaning the continuous counter space. So basically, if you wanted me, I could share screen, but it's a L-shaped kitchen with an island. And it was a much needed extension to make that L-shaped kitchen work. And it's a narrow house to begin with, so it was not many other places to reconfigure and rethink that kitchen. We're already moving the staircase that was in the way, so it would make it, we live in the kitchen, and that would become a very, very, very important space internally with very small, I thought, negative impact to the intent of the zone plan.
Got you. And did I hear you right that it was existing non-conforming on that side? It's just aggravated by a little bit, or did I not get that right?
Yes, it's existing non-conforming at 6 feet. So we're going to expand that, and the extension will be 8 feet long, 2 feet wide, one story.
Got you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment that, it's interesting. Initially, I thought that the revised rear elevation had a mistake in it. Should have realized that Mr. Duvernay doesn't make mistakes. But I just want to compliment the applicants on going that extra step to address the aesthetics in the back. You don't often see that. Usually, just additions are just thrown on, and no one doesn't really pay attention to that. So that's a really nice feature.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
And Steve, my wife disagrees with you. That's all I do is make mistakes.
Mine would too.
I could support this application. We already have the existing non-conforming side yard setback and a narrower property. And I think the 2 feet is a very small ask. It's reasonable. It's very nicely designed, and I would be in support of the application. Anyone else want to comment?
Just on the sidewalk, which is going to be taken away, I'm guessing that would be enhanced with the greens or whatever, made it more greener. So whatever, Jessica mentioned and Steve did, just add to that, saying that actually enhances the overall appearance, given that you're taking the stone and gravel away and supplementing with green.
Yeah, I would just add that, I mean, given that it's the width is undersized from the width perspective, and the fact that all they're asked, I mean, it's a minimal ask, and the design it's very nicely accomplished within the given dimensions. So I could certainly support this.
Same for me. I could also support this, given the reasons that were already stated.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move approval of calendar number 3886-22.
And second.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Chandru Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glad.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Do we have any items from anyone that are not on the agenda for tonight? Anything to discuss not on the agenda? I don't see anything. So would someone like to make a motion to?
I move adjournment.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
All right, Eileen, feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
feel
Evan,
better.
feel better.
Thank you.
Have
Have a good night, everyone.
Okay. Happy rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Almost over.